coming back. Awesome. Hope you had a good time connecting with people. So we are here for the Liberating Structures Practice, and we are focusing on wicked questions. So just raise your hand if you are familiar with liberating structures in general, just to have a sense in the room. So lots of people. And now raise your hand if you are familiar with wicked questions. Oh, less people. That's why you're here. What is this wicked question? Okay. So there are many ways to run this structure. And we were discussing with Fisher a few sessions ago. And actually, he has a funny story because when he was working with a group at the very beginning of the use of liberating structures, he asked Keith McCandless about one tool to get people dealing with paradoxes and difficult situations. And then he told Fisher to use wicked questions. He just didn't say completely how to do it. And then Fisher ended up doing like 2 days of wicked questions with the group. So I can't imagine how is it possible, but for Fisher, it's possible. And at the end, looks like these guys, they, after being crushed 2 days doing wicked questions, they created very powerful wicked questions that guided their planning for years ahead. So they survived, but usually it goes between 45 minutes, half an hour. So, and it's very fun. It actually, when we get the use of the wicked questions, we start playing with this in our daily lives because we are surrounded by wicked questions and we just don't notice them. So that's a good way to spark these ideas. So in order to start and touch this realm of the paradoxes and everything, we'll be doing one exercise is the YXN writing. Sometimes people do 10 by 10 or 5 by 5. It's a creative exercise to get ourselves thinking about some context and putting some ideas down. So pick a piece of paper and you'll be invited to write down as many ideas as you can in around 45, 50 seconds. So not a lot of time. And it's good to have this context. So pick an entangled or messy situation, project or decision, anything that is entangled and messy for you. You don't have to share this with the group. So it's just for yourself, just to get your head in the right space. And if you have a piece of paper and pen, I'll start to send you some prompts. Can you all see the flashcards on the screen easily?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even people on the phone? Camila, can you see the flashcards?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome, Laura. I just saw you on the corner now.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so let's go. Try to write as many phrases or words that if you don't have anything to write, but you have a picture in your mind, just doodle it. First prompt, what is unpredictable or uncertain about it, about this entangled and messy situation? Some more seconds. And let's go to another space. What are some of the things that are true about it? The realities, the perspectives. As you can see on the image, if you look that thing from one side, it's a circle, from the other side, it's a rectangle. What are the perspectives? Some more seconds. Next one. What is blocking, interfering, or preventing you from making progress? What are the things you're trying to keep in balance? Some more seconds. And the next one. What is frustrating and complicated about it? What makes it hard? Some more seconds before the last one. And here we go. What other dynamics or elements are at play in this complex or messy situation? Okay, so this is the material that will help you to craft some wicked questions. I will close this. So let's get now to the wicked questions setup. So this is one thing that we did right now was just a punctuation just to get people primed to the work. So this is your raw material. And now we'll be starting to work on the wicked question itself. Let me just get my screen sorted. Can you see the slides? The wicked questions. Okay. So let me get my more here. Here we go. Okay, so wicked questions. This is one phrase that is on the website and on the book. If you don't know, there is a very interesting paradox in the quantum physics, and that's the joke about the cat and how two realities can exist at the same time. So this kind of thinking. And some examples of wicked questions you can see on the caps lock the words which are opposites, but also they complement each other. So ideally, in a wicked questions, we have both sides in a very appreciative perspective, and we articulate the question in a way that we want both. We don't want this or that, the right or wrong. No, we want both in the highest power possible. So these are some examples, and take some time to get the use of writing the wicked questions, but it's a good exercise to do by yourself, but it's much more interesting when we do as a group. And sometimes in a group we have lots of people with like the gift to write wicked questions. So first, individually, get your materials, your list, and circle any truths or realities that are opposed or that are in contrast or they don't fit together. So try to identify these elements. And sometimes you need to really focus on the word. Sometimes it's a phrase, but we need to get the real word which is inside. So first, just get these elements that are there. And maybe you can do another list of these elements in opposition to each other, like two columns.
It would be nice maybe to have some example later, because for me, like, there are no opposites.
Try to find it. Give me one example of the element that you don't have an opposite.
Because like I put hidden trauma, mental disorder, unstable psyche, reactive response, childish behavior, lack of courage, unresolved pain, and for me it's everything true. Because all connected. Not accepting the reality and need to apply different trauma-informed leadership.
So not accepting reality. What is the opposite? It's accepting the reality.
Okay.
And try to make things positive.
Oh, okay, got it.
Like childish behavior can be like diminishing the behavior. Maybe the behavior of a child. So the questions, the wicked questions are appreciative. So we are trying to get the best, the good side of it. Some more seconds. And keep using this material. You'll be in a group and very soon, so you'll get help. And it's nice when you have different examples and people start helping each other. Let's do this second part. So try to compose at least one wicked question. And a useful format is this. How is it that I am or we are this and that simultaneously? So getting the example of the childish behavior, how is it that we are a children and an adult at the same time? That's a wicked question. Usually a wicked question gets us in a very creative space, trying to combine these opposites. And I've just put a timer here too. Where are my timers? Dun, 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 dun. Carolina, try to set a timer on your side just to see if it's easier for you, because I'm sharing the screen.
Yeah, I was trying to find it too.
I think the trio conversations timer is still on.
How much time, Fernand?
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 more minute.
Okay.
2. Let's give 2. And people can play a little bit.
1 more minute.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. On my side, I can't see because I'm sharing the screen, so I can see people, I can see the slides, I can see the chat, but I don't see the timer anymore.
I think it's in the bottom.
Oh yeah, if I hold over my mouse, it shows very small. Yeah.
The brain hurts.
Yeah, it's like this, Fatima, but I think it's just at the beginning, and then it becomes playful. Okay, so the next step, you'll be, before we go to the groups, just check your own wicked questions if you have one or two or a few. Just check if it's appreciative, if it's really looking at the both sides in a very appreciative way. And if you can answer it, if you can answer it, probably it's not wicked enough. And if the paradox is there, if it's clear, if you can see like the two sides, the opposing forces, the tension. I don't like to give these examples. Fisher like to give these examples, but I'll just put on the. Is it showing on the screen
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't like to give this to people because I think it guides too much the thinking. I prefer people to do the exercise, not having this. Mm-hmm. But you can give to your groups. Depending on your group, you can illustrate with more colors. So check your questions for some more seconds. And then you'll be now in trios to share the wicked questions that you have. You don't have to share all of them, but pick the ones you want to share. And try to make them better and sharper as a group. Sometimes when we give the wicked question for the other person to tinker, it's easier for them because they're not like emotionally involved with the situation. So it helps a lot. I think I have the task written on the breakouts. So let me share. Let me see. Yeah, I have the task over there. So we'll be in triads. Let me double check if you have triads. Yeah, we have triads and quartets. And you have 12 minutes, so it's enough time to go through everybody's wicked questions and try to see which one it stands out and if there is one that is very nice to share with the whole group. But try to refine. Be a little bit selfish to get your wicked question right, but also help the other ones to get their wicked questions right. So see you in a bit. Let me see, Carolina, if you're... No, you're not going in the breakouts. Okay. See you soon. Main room. And everybody's
not supposed to. I was
No, everybody's in the main room.
I don't know the apps.
Yeah, welcome back.
So funny. Kathleen has her picture as an image, so I'm always waiting for her to move, but she's playing Frozen. Okay, so let me start the board over here. And I will ask you to come here and write down the wicked questions. How can I arrive at the same place via different paths? Yeah. So if you want to write, you just double click on the post-it, and you can also add post-its. Click on the bottom of the screen. There is an icon, the square. So let's write and also make comments. Let's see what you get.
Mm-hmm.
It's so tiny. How do we make it? Oh, there. I got it. Okay.
Bye. Oops. Yeah, if you can keep the post-its on the upper side, we can see them like side by side or closer. It helps to have a better visual.
I'm struggling too. How do you zoom in?
There are some ways. On the bottom left, you have like a map and a percentage. You can click plus or less. That's one way. If you have a trackpad, you can also just open the trackpad. And one that I like the most is when you press Z on your keyboard, your cursor becomes a magnifying glass, and you can click and drag the area that you want to see.
I can't figure out how to do a new post-it. I'm so sorry. This is new
On
to
the
me.
bottom, you have a bar with some icons like the arrow,
Oh,
the
I
hand,
see. I see. Okay, thank you.
the square with a corner.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah, look at the questions and see if any is catchy and gets your attention. Yeah, some need some refinement just to make them simpler and more powerful. But the paradox is there. And Petra, you have the link for this board and the slides as well. Scrum Master and developer at the same time. Let me get one block here.
I'm sorry. I just got my laptop bricked today at my office, so I have to use my mobile phone. And it seems like you cannot type on the post-its if you are on a cell phone. So I
You
just
can?
posted it on the chat. Hey, I
Yeah.
can't because how much I
I'll
try,
get
I
your
just cannot
questions
bring
and
the
put over there,
cursor on.
Shiroz.
Okay.
Just put over there. Okay, we have many different wicked questions. Is there anyone that gets your attention and we want to explore or make sure everybody saw it? Just open your mic and share.
Sorry, I can't read them because they are too small.
You can make them bigger, Anna Grace.
How?
If you click on Z on your keyboard, your mouse becomes
Okay.
a magnifying glass. So you can click to get them closer, or you can click and drag to magnify an area of some. Get it?
Become bigger. Just become big.
Yeah, and then play it back and forth. So Melissa asking the question that from your trio, are you using this approach to develop questions before going to a facilitated sessions, or are we working with a group to generate questions about the paradox they see in the work? Both work. So what wicked questions offered us is to articulate the paradox. So usually as human beings, our brain it's wired in a way that we try to not deal with very complex things. So we shut them down. We just look at one side, which is easier. So then we judge, we classify what is good and bad, what is right and wrong. So we keep looking at one side of paradoxes. So wicked questions get us in a place. It's a very generative place. You can use this to work before a session as a facilitator, as leaders, or you can use with the group to articulate the paradoxes. So in my experience, when you use with this group, with groups, especially for strategic planning, when people see the paradox that they are, things just get clearer. It's much similar to one of the questions, how are we changing and being the same at the same time? So there are many paradoxes when we are planning ahead and when we are doing our stuff. So there are many ways to apply. But they're meant to use more with groups to articulate the paradoxes. Is that clear? It's better? Worse?
Yes, thank you.
It's good.
Sometimes we have paradox with clients. How we can please our contractor, our client, and the group at the same time. Sometimes the business partner or the leader wants one thing and the group wants another thing. So how can we articulate this? Good, and people are pointing out, what is the opposing qualities of this? So yeah, we start getting very sharp with practice. I saw one about here. How can I brightly shine publicly while protecting my personal space? That's a very interesting question. How can we work in coalition and in a bureaucracy at the same time?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is close to the strategy. How do we maintain our vision for the project and collaborate? So maybe how do you focus on the day-to-day and make time for strategy? The same paradox now and then, now and future, the big and the short view. Nice. Yeah, the question about the defender of law and decency. So you already see that there are some weights on the words, and it's hard to get a wicked question when we put weight on things, what is right or wrong. So you need to like filter and get what is there as an essential paradox, and we don't take sides.
Oh, sorry. Can you talk more about the it's right, not the right, the hope of keeping the words positive because it seems contradictory to have both sides be framed in a positive.
Yeah, that's sometimes
yeah.
it's hard. For example, when we say dictatorship, this is there is a weight on this that it's not right to be a dictator. But what it's inside the dictatorship, that it's an impulse, that's something that is natural, that it exists in nature, for example. So we are trying to filter all these perceptions around things and see what is there. We are not looking at what it's wrong or right, or what I prefer or do not prefer.
Yeah, like
And
another
then,
example here is how is that I am broke and excited. So maybe broke for me, it doesn't look like good. And so I prefer to be excited. So I take a side. So when we are appreciative in the two sides, we are not taking sides. Our brains are going to try to resolve in a way that I have both places to go. So maybe it's like this.
That helps. Thank you.
yeah, and it's a group exercise. It's interesting. And when we work, we are in a very dispersed group. We have a little in common, but not much. But when you work with a group within a context, like a working group or a community or any organization like a department, it's much easier to frame this. There is a breakthrough when people stop like judging and putting weights or preferences, but you have a context and then you start looking at this paradox and they just pop up. They just start piling up and it's very alive.
Yeah.
And one thing that is good to notice that wicked questions are not meant to be solved. Some people try to solve the questions while they are crafting the question. So give space. So people will be crafting the questions first. And then there are many ways to go through the questions to get some progress. But the main job here is to articulate the paradoxes. That's the job. Anything to add, Caroline, on these ones?
No.
So maybe one next exercise that we can do is, let me get you to follow me. So down below we have these post-its, these purple ones. And let's invest maybe 10 minutes to, as a group, to generate some wicked questions about facilitation or leading groups. We talked briefly about this, but you can go upper here and write a list of different truths and realities. I can give you an example, like the client versus the group. It's both are true, and sometimes they are in opposition. Or you can just jump to the bottom and write some wicked questions. So it's up to you. Let's do it as a group and see what comes up. The context now, it's, okay, facilitation, leading groups, all these paradoxes that we face.
Fernando, before we...
Say it again?
Sorry, can I ask a question before we move on?
Yeah.
What do you usually pair wicked questions with? So like we've gotten... as far as like getting to the wicked question, do you usually like take that and use another liberating structure afterwards to move the conversation forward?
What is the bread for the butter? So there is one that combines perfectly, which is the integrated autonomy, which is very fun to lead and very easy, but you need a very good wicked question to start with. Okay. So you basically go to the rationale of both sides. So what is the rationale for this and what is the rationale for this? Okay. And then you go for the actions. How can I make this happen and how can I make this happen? And then we move to the third step, which is which of these actions also help the other side? And then you move to the center. So you start noticing what can help both sides to work at the same time. And then the final step is to make a little adjustments on some actions to also move them to the center. So you end up with lots of actions that help to be simultaneously living or doing different things. So it's a very nice process. Integrated autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
You can put the chat. But again, you need a good wicked question to start this structure. Otherwise, it just falls flat. It's better here. Integrated. Let's put in the chat the link for the structure. Yeah, we have some good material on the top. So maybe here is it that we plan everything and adapt everything. So how is it that we plan and adapt everything at the moment? Yeah, try to write some wicked questions over there. Mm-hmm. Leading and creating leaders at the same time. So when we work with groups, usually we work with smaller groups doing this kind of refining. And we invite groups to filter and pick one to share with the whole group. So we kind of filter for the whole group, and then we have a selection. And then from there, we keep refining until we have a couple or 3 or 4 wicked questions that are very good for the group to keep in mind. Not solve, but this is the paradox we are living in. So it's already a relief for a lot of groups. Some of the difficulties that they're facing, they're actually a paradox, and they were looking at just one side of the paradox at that moment. And when you articulate it properly, it becomes appreciative. Say, oh, that's why you're not progressing, because we need to face this paradox. These are this is the tension or the power in play that are one try to move this way and the other blocks it. So now we can see the dance of these forces. One good question to close the wicked question is, which one do we need to invest time and energy to make progress? And then you can, for example, work with integrated autonomy, even conversation cafe to get people aware of the paradox, how do they leave that paradox? Maybe a fishbowl. If you have a large group, you can have a fishbowl discussing about that paradox. What else, Bruce? We have lots of maestros in the room.
Well, again, I think, how can we look at all sides? And I think exactly as you said, what can we do to clarify and try to distinguish between situations that may be intractable and truly paradoxical, and those that may have some technical answers and information to help inform how we act to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can make trees. How can we make this paradox even harder? And maybe then we can find what we are doing to keep this paradox in place. Yeah, but as I said, I feel a relief in people when they articulate the paradox. People get, oh, that's why. Okay, it's not my fault. Okay, we still have, how many minutes? 80 minutes. And maybe I'll give you 2 more minutes to work on these wicked questions here. And then we'll move to the closing, where I have some questions for you and also some evaluation to do on this structure. Here, tools.
Did the questions disappear?
Yep.
Is that on purpose?
Which question?
Oh, people had filled in the lilac Post-its, and now I'm not seeing those questions.
Yeah.
They're all gone. And like above where we wrote the different truths, it's back to the A times B, C times D.
Oh yeah, that's a glitch that is happening in Butter. My guess is that if one of us click the Control-Z, like the undo, it undo lots of things from different people. So that's my guess, but we are not sure yet. We were in a workshop with like 40 people, and it happened like many times.
Oh no!
Wow.
Yeah, that's a glitch on the board, specifically on the whiteboard.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm asking about glitches. Can you move right and left on the board as well? Does anyone know how to do that?
If you are on a trackpad, or you can just move right and left in any direction, actually. Trackpads are good, or the mouses that you can just move.
Okay. Thank you. I was looking for a bar at the bottom. Thank you.
You can also press space bar. Space bar turns your cursor in a hand, and then you can drag the paper down and up.
I'm having trouble doing that.
It's practice, Laura. By the time you know where to click, it becomes easy. Oh, right click. Yeah, right click for me doesn't work to drag. But space bar turns your cursor in the hand. So you can use the hand.
Nice. Thank you.
So there is one thing that I don't like in Butter, is that when we close the tool, I feel always like taking the toy away from the children. I collect the toys and people stop playing. So I need to announce that in 40 seconds, I'll be that person. Yeah. This is a terrible glitch, but at least the ones on the top are still there. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'll close this one. 2. And let me see the agenda here. I have 2 things to ask you. And one, it's an evaluation. So this is one thing that Keith developed to evaluate people's experience on the structure. So when you are doing the wicked questions, what did you feel most during the experience? So if you put you click on an image, you put your stamp over there. If you put in the center, it means that the 3 elements, the 3 attributes were there equally. If you have more connections, it's more to the top, more context, more on the left, and new options on the right. So just stamp and see where do you land.
Sides of the triangle.
Do you see the flashcards on the left of your screen? It's a triangle of connection, context and clarity, and new options. You just have to click and stamp. And if you want to change, you just stamp again, you change your position.
But I don't understand, what are the 3 sides of the triangle?
Oh, these are the attributes for liberating structures. So some work more in connection, some structures work more in context and clarity, and some work more in new options. So what do you feel between these 3 was present in your experience with wicked questions? If you think the 3 were equally present, you click on the middle. But if one of these attributes was present in more alive, you go towards that situation, that attribute. Is that clear? As you see, there's no consensus. Every person has a different experience. And the second question is this one. Let me close this one. So in what situations would you use wicked questions? What do they seem good for? And after you answer, you see the other answers showing up for you. Megan, we go wild with the clients. Yeah, what's what now what is great as well. 15% solutions. One invite for you is to get your wicked question and then go through the steps of integrated autonomy by yourself. Just do the structure by yourself and see what comes up. And then you can choose another wicked question and do the same. So when you do it by yourself, you get the process very clear, and it's very easy to lead a group afterwards. Strategic planning. Nice. Yeah, that's right, Beth. The paradox, they stay there. We are wired in a way that we just ignore them because it takes a lot of energy and for efforts to get these two realities in front of us.
Yeah, ignore, or it comes up and the group is in conflict, right? Because they're flipping back and forth between black and white, and one side kind of keeps winning, and so the other side keeps getting sort of pushed to the side. Maybe a more complex form of ignoring, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes you don't ignore, you go against, right? You just choose a side, and yeah. How many conflicts have a paradox inside? Let me. Oh, Petra, how much butter costs? I don't know. I have a free license because I have been helping them developing and promoting, but I guess it's the same price for Zoom, like $150 a year, something like this. You can check on the website.
Yeah. Can I ask, like, so for these issues, like, I think it would be beneficial in some mediation maybe, but does it mean that both need to let go of something?
Yeah, if you are in a conflict, you need to be more careful using the wicked questions. Probably you need more priming and some different tools to get people focusing on a common goal, which is articulate the questions. But for a normal group, a functional group that is just going, it's totally okay to use the wicked questions. And these conflicts may arise, but in a different way, in a more trying to understand what is there. But if there is a conflict, if the temperature is higher, probably we need to do some priming before. So let me get one last thing here for you, just to start our checking, our departing. What was valuable for you from this session? Close this. I see the results from the previous polling, they go to the chat automatically. And Randy, technology of participation is a method, it's TOP. If you Google it, you'll find some organizations that they do the training, and it's a very big body of knowledge, and lots of people do it. I think most in Canada, I presume.
I just looked it up. Thank you. I should have looked it up before I asked. Yes, a lot came up in the search. Thank you.
And it's used all over the world, and there's lots of folks in the US too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I thought it was more a Canadian thing, because I know many Canadians, they know. I was assuming that it's more Canadian. Good to know. Awesome. We have 5 minutes before we close. So if you want to open your mic and share what was valuable for you, and if you have any question or doubt, we can use these minutes too in your favor. I will start. I'm just grateful that you are here. We are trying new tool and practicing together. So I think people from Liberating Structures are very open to try and learn together. So I'm grateful that you came up, and yeah, we played together for a bit. So thank you.
No, that's a very interesting exercise. Thank you. I think, like, sometimes you're stuck in your thinking and you don't know, like, what is this situation requires from you to be, like, how how you need to expand your horizons, or who you need to be in that particular situation to really approach it with open mind and not get stuck in old patterns.
Good. Do you remember the sequence that we did for the writing at the beginning? You can frame that first one, instead of asking people to find a messy situation, you give them the situation. So in this situation that we're living, and then you follow the same prompts, so people start to bring in the stuff, and then you articulate. So it's a good way to prime people for wicked questions. Yeah, some people are running for new meanings. What else?
Fernando, would you say more about like doing integrated autonomy yourself after wicked questions? I think that's what I heard you say.
Yeah, integrated autonomy, it goes very well with the wicked questions. You basically, you follow the steps of the structure, you get the wicked questions as the starting point, and then you go to the rationale of both sides. So what is the rationale of this? What is the rationale of this? And okay. And then we move to another flip chart with, do you know this, the two, how do you say there is a name for that.
Venn diagram.
It's connected. So you start putting actions. How can we make this happen? What can we do to get this part working and making progress? And you do the same for the other. And then this is the twist on the structure. You invite people to see which of these actions also help the other side to happen. So people start moving some stuff to the middle. So some actions, they attend both sides. And then the final step is, and which changes or subtle changes we have to do on these actions to move more actions to the center. And then at the end, you end up with lots of things in the center that are going to both sides. So you are working through the paradox with people's actions. And it is very funny to see the groups because they say, oh, yeah, oh. So lots of surprises comes up during the process because it's mind-boggling when we separate and we see them separate and then but what is in common? And then say, oh, yeah, this is here, this is here, this is. So things just start to flow. And I always remember, you need a very good wicked question to start from. Otherwise, the process doesn't go. It falls flat in the middle. And it looks like the structure is not working, but it's not true. The wicked question was not well crafted or powerful enough to give you the tension and the energy to move. I made this mistake already. You don't have to. One more minute. Anything very smart to say, Carolina? Do you remember this question? Do you have anything smart to say?
No, just thank you for everybody to come and to enjoy this brain exercise. And I like that it becomes a habit if we start doing this wicked question often. And it's very interesting because you start thinking about in a different space that you are. And I like that.
Yeah, we look at our children and say, how is it that I love and hate you at the same time? Teenagers. Okay, people, thanks for coming. And I'll send you back in an email the materials. So you have the slides and all the materials that you saw here to use with your groups and actually with yourself as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Hope to see you next.
See you next, Rose. Bye.